Hi everyone, welcome to another video. So I thought it would be super fun to create a holiday look if you're going to parties or events. And it didn't take me any more than about 20 minutes to create this. I've used a mix of some drugstore products, some higher end products. I've pulled out all of my tips and tricks and hacks for you guys. And I even created this bold red lip. You guys know that is so out of my comfort zone. So if you're curious to see what products I used, let's get into it. As a primer today, we're going to start with the e.l.f. Sun Touchable Whoa Glow. I have this one in the shade Sunbeam. They do have a couple of new shades in their lineup. I like this one because it is a great alternative to the Supergoop version. This is much more affordable. And it acts as a primer. Leaves me really glowy, and I like that. It gives me the added benefit of the sun protection, which is an SPF 30. And I just love the nice radiance it gives me. I always make sure to run it down my neck as well. I think that's one of those areas that always gets neglected. For an eyeshadow primer today, we're going to go in with the Alter Ego eyeshadow base. I like this one because it comes as a wand formula, so it's really easy to apply that way. And it blends in just fantastic. It takes away that discoloration that I have on my eyes, and it just sets the tone for my whole eyeshadow to be applied. It doesn't ever look creasy. And my eyeshadows stay on way, way longer. So I always suggest just a really good eyeshadow base when you're doing a glam look. Before I start the rest of my makeup, I always do my eyebrows. That's just kind of my routine of how I like things done. So I'm going with the Revlon The Color Stay Micro Brow Pencil. I have this one in the shade Medium Brown. And I usually just start at the tip of my eyebrows after I've brushed through with the spoolie. And I just deposit the color throughout my hairs. I don't do a lot with my eyebrows, actually. It's like a really kind of like no fuss. But it's remarkable how different your face looks once you have your eyebrows done. So I have to do my tape hack today because I'm doing more of a glam look. So we're going to go in with the Tarte In Bloom eyeshadow palette. And this has a nice complement of some neutral shades. So the first shade I'm going in with is Flower Child. And I'm using that as just my transition shade all over my lids. And it's a great starter shade for the rest of the eye look that I'm trying to do. Next, I'm going to go in with Smarty Pants. And it's a little bit of a darker beige. And I'm going to apply that right above my crease area. And I always apply, when I'm doing like a crease shade, I always put it above my crease rather than right into the crease because I have more of a hooded eye. So it would just get lost in there, and it would actually make my eyes look a little bit more sunken in. I also like this palette because it has mattes and also like little shimmer shades as well. And then I'm going in with a shade called Rebel. And I'm going to apply that right on the outer V part of my eye just to give my eyes a little bit of depth. But I like how the shades are all in a row so you can mix and match them. And these have really great color payoff. Then I'm going to use the shade Rocker, and this is one of the shimmer shades, and I'm going to apply that just on the first, I'm going to say half part of my lid. I'm not going to take it right across. And I find when I do this, it just kind of opens my eye area up and makes my eyes look a little bit more awake. Formulation on these is so wonderful. Really super smooth. Now next is one of my little tricks that I'm going to show you, and it's using one of the, like a flat brush, if you can find one. This one's just an e.l.f. one, but you can find other brands. And I'm going to go in with this shade Smoke Show. I'm going to first spray my brush with a little bit of setting spray, and that's going to help the eyeshadow adhere to the brush. And I'm using that as my eyeliner today, instead of going in with liquid eyeliner, which can be a little bit intimidating. This is a real fun, no fail-safe way of applying an eyeliner, and it stays on just as long as a liquid liner does. I'm only taking it about halfway on my eye, and I find that really does give the appearance of my eye having an uplifted look. And I'm pressing it right close to the lash line and then feathering it out. And thank goodness for that tape hack, or else I would have it everywhere right now. But you can use any sort of like dark shade as long as it's a dark shade. Nice thing about using an eyeshadow is it's very forgiving, so if you do make a mistake, you can just wipe it away and start again. And we're going to just take that off and have the big reveal of how well if it did good or not. And yeah, I really like how it turned out. I need to do a little bit of color correcting today, so I'm going with my favorite color corrector, which is the Clinique Even Better All Over color corrector in the shade Peach. And I apply it just to the inner part of my eye where I'm the darkest and sort of in that hollow area. That's where I have the darkest pigmentation. And then I just feather it out so it goes right to the end of my eye. This is a really nice creamy formula, keeps my eyes hydrated, and never looks cakey or greasy or anything under my eye. My new favorite foundation combination is the Haus Labs. This is the Triclone Skin Tech Foundation in the shade 110 Light Neutral, and the Maybelline Super Stay. I have this one in the shade 118. So I take a squeeze of the Haus Labs and a dropper full of the Maybelline, and look at how well those blend. Like you can't even really see the difference in the shades. So I just blend them together with my BK Beauty foundation brush. And I always start at the center of my face and work my way out. But the combination of these two foundations is amazing. Both these products give me more of a natural look, very skin-like coverage, radiant. Like I love the radiance that it gives me. Feels very lightweight on the face. I find neither one of these mixed together settles into my fine lines. My foundation doesn't look cakey. I always make sure to run it down my neck. You guys have seen that a million times. Always run it down to my neck. Everything looks seamless that way. And I even sometimes, depending if I'm going to have my hair up or not, sometimes I'll even do my earlobes, my ears, just so that everything is blended together. And then I always take my e.l.f. sponge or any sort of sponge you have and just make sure everything is blended together. There's no brush strokes or anything like that, which there usually isn't, but I always just make sure everything's blended in. And this also helps just kind of press the makeup into my skin a little bit better, which is going to make it last longer throughout the day. Now I couldn't create a glam look without using my Lancome Tint Ardell Ultra Wear Concealer. This one I have in the shade 215 Buff. And the nice thing about using a color corrector is I don't have to use as much concealer. You can see I'm just putting a little bit. And I'm also going to put a little bit of highlighting down my face just so that everything looks cohesive and together. And it also gives that concealer time to just kind of warm up on my skin. I've been doing that a lot lately, where I just let the concealer sit even for like 30 seconds. And I find it blends in way better when I've done that. I'm just using my Angie Hot and Flashy concealer brush. And I like to just sort of tap it in rather than brushing it on, because then I'm sort of disturbing that color corrector that I put on underneath. And I'm being very, very careful around that wing that I made. But I'll just usually run it right under the wing, and that it helps kind of give it more of a little bit of a crisp line. But this is a fantastic concealer. You've seen it a million times on my channel. Super hydrating, never looks cakey, doesn't crease on me, and looks great from the minute I put it on to when I take it off at night. I've really gotten out of the habit of using powder on my face, but because I want the makeup to stay on longer today. I'm going in with the Physicians Formula Butter Believe It face powder. I have this one in the shade Creamy Natural. And I just use a fluffy brush to run it all over my face. And I'm just taking the Rephr 03 brush. I find this is one of the best little brushes for doing under the eyes. And I'm just taking a bunch of those eyeshadow shades that I put on the top of my lid and just running them underneath my lash line. You can certainly skip this step if you don't like putting something under your eyes, but it's just kind of my thing. I always have to have something underneath my eyes. So my look wouldn't be complete if I didn't tight line. So I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible Gel Mechanical Liner. I have this one in the shade Brown Denim. And I pretty much tight line on a daily basis on my top line. And I find it just gives my eyes a little bit of fullness. And it fills in all of those little areas that sometimes looks a little bit bare. And I'm just running between my lashes. This is one of the better pencils for this, in my opinion. I find it doesn't do any sort of transferring at all. And then I'm going to take the Sephora 12-Hour Contour Eyeliner in the shade Coconut. And that's what I use on my bottom waterline. And it just gives my eyes a little bit of brightness to them. Curling my lashes is a definite must. My lashes are so short and stubby that I need every little bit of help that I can get. So I use the Rephr eyelash curler, one of the best in my opinion. It gets really close to the lash line, and it does give curl to the lashes. I've grown quite fond of the Covergirl Lash Blast Cleantopia Mascara. This one I have in the shade Black. I was not usually a big fan of Covergirl mascaras. I find they just didn't work on my lashes for whatever reason. But this formula is very, very different. It gives my lashes fullness. They look lengthened. It doesn't flake on me. It doesn't clump at all. And it removes quite well at the end of the night. It doesn't take a lot of effort at all. It gets all into those little fine those little hairs that I have right in the very corners of my lashes. And then I also take the mascara and try to fan out the outer edge of my lashes. What I did was I took a pair of my Ardell Natural lashes and cut them in half. And I'm going to apply those lashes right on the outer edge of my eye. And I've been doing this a lot lately. I find it's way easier than applying a full strip lash. So again, a little tip for anybody. They're not as intimidating. So if you are a beginner with applying lashes, I would say just get a pair of lashes, cut them in half, use the outer part, and it just looks so eye-lifting and way less intimidating to apply lashes. I do have a whole video about applying lashes. I can insert that down in the description box for you guys. One of the products I've really been enjoying using lately is the LYS Beauty, the No Limits Cream Bronzer Stick in the shade Harmony. I really like this shade. It's more of a cool tone shade. And then I just take that foundation brush, and instead of swiping it right onto my cheeks, I take a little bit of the product and start applying it onto my face. It's extremely pigmented, so I find this is a way better way to diffuse it and blend it in. I love the cream formula. I think that's a great idea if you are doing more of a glam look. I love using cream formulas that way. They last a lot longer than powders. And this one really sets into the skin rather than I find a regular bronzer that sort of sits on top of the skin. This one melts right into the skin, so I love it. Look at how flawless that looks. Such a great product. Then I'm going to take that same Rephr brush, and just to make everything appear a little bit more even, I'm going to take some of it and put that under my eye as well. And I kind of blend the wing together. And I don't normally put a lot of mascara on my bottom lashes. I find if I apply too much mascara, it almost drags my eye down. So, but you can certainly skip this step if you don't want to put anything on your bottom lashes. That looks perfectly fine too. I wanted to use more of a pink blush today. So I went in with the Infallible 24-hour blush in the shade Fearless Coral. This is a matte blush, so there isn't going to be any shimmers to it. And it is extremely pigmented, so you can see I just barely put my brush into the product and it picked it up. And as I'm applying it to my face, I'm just basically stippling it on. I'm not a big blush person. I like having blushes, but I don't coat my whole face in blush. I think it's nice to have a little bit of a flush to the cheek, but sometimes it can look really overdone. And this is a favorite product alert. This is the Rare Beauty Positive Light Highlighter in the shade Mesmerize. This is a beautiful, beautiful highlighter. I'm just going with my Sigma highlighter brush. What I like about it is it's very natural looking. The formulation, it's like a powdery glass type of formula. Like it literally looks like glass. I just applied a very small amount onto my cheekbones. And again, it's just to highlight your face. I always run it down my nose and on my Cupid's bow. And then I'm also going to take a Rephr brush and apply the product right into the inner corner, and I find that really brightens up the eye area up, especially when you're doing more of a glam look. Really draws attention to your eyes. One of my last steps that I do once I've done all my face makeup is apply the Merit Brow 1980. This is a pomade. I have this one in the shade brown. And I like this because it deposits just a little bit of extra color onto my eyebrows, but also fluffs them up. And it helps them stay in place for the rest of the day. Now this is a new product for me, or a new brand. I haven't heard of this one before until I was watching Nikki LaRose on her channel, and she was talking about it. This is the Fashion Flair Iconic Lip Shaper. I have this one in the shade Warm Taupe. This is a pencil lip liner, so you will have to sharpen it. And I was also watching Nikki LaRose and Lisa J do a video where they were doing like a holiday look as well. And I liked what she said about applying more of like a earthy tone type of lip liner, which helps diffuse the bold red lip that I'm going to be doing. It kind of just takes it down a notch. So I always make sure to also fill in my lips with the lip liner, and that helps really the lipstick stay on longer. I don't do a lot of overlining of my lips either. I just usually run it along the lip line. It's a lovely shade. And then I'm just taking a lip brush. Any old lip brush will do. And I'm going to go with the Milani Color Fetish matte lipstick. I have this one in the shade Poppy. It's more of like a bluey red, which is very universally flattering for most skin tones. And what I'm going to do is, instead of swiping the lipstick right onto my lips, which would be really, really bold looking, I want to use the lip brush and just press it into my lips, which is going to help diffuse the color a little bit so it's not that bright red. This is a great formulation. Even though it says it's a matte formula, it does have a little bit of sheen to it. And one of the tricks is always making sure when you're using a bolder lip color that you do line your lips, because then that's going to help so you don't have a lot of feathering into your fine lines around your lip. That is one of the bad things about wearing a bold lip, is sometimes you can get that feathering. For our gloss today, we're going to use the Milani Keep It Full, the Nourishing Lip Plumper. This is in the shade Champagne. It's quite a big doe foot applicator. And this particular shade has a little bit of sparkle to it. So that's why I'm going to just apply it right into the center of my lips. And it makes your lips look a little bit fuller. And then to help your makeup stay in place all day, I use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Filter Setting Spray. I am almost out, but luckily I did buy some during the Sephora sale. And this really does make my skin look flawless. Helps it stay in the rest of the day. I do always go back in with my sponge just to press the product in a little bit better. But one of the best setting sprays. Highly, highly recommend it. So I hope this gave you some inspiration to create your own holiday look. All of the products will be linked and listed down in my description box. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're not already. And as always, I hope everybody has a great week and a great life, and I'll see you all very soon in my next video. Bye!